Hey strangers, it's your skeptical co-host Pascual Romero here. I thought I would check in and do sort of a state of the podcast address to let you guys know how things are going for us and what we're going to be doing moving forward. I know we always throw the Patreon pitch out every episode, and we just want to let you guys know that that is really the best way to support us because it does cost quite a bit of money to do this properly, and we really want to give you the best show we can, and we want to be able to devote the most time and effort into doing it. So that's where Patreon comes in, and we really sincerely thank you patrons who've already been contributing, many of you since the first episode, which is wonderful. So thank you guys. And also thank you to all the listeners who have given us reviews on iTunes or just liked our page or followed us on Twitter. That's all really great for us. It lets us know that you're interested and that you want to keep listening. If we don't get that interaction, we have no way to know if anyone's really paying attention to us. So on to the thank yous. Now I have a bunch of notes kind of taped around in here. So I'll be looking off camera, kind of glancing around the room just to get the names, make sure I don't forget anyone that I'm thanking. So let's go ahead and start with the Patreon thank yous. We've got Dr. Angela Matkey, our Hall of Famer sponsor, Amy Freshour Kelly, my father-in-law, David Cosby. He's actually a Skepticrate level patron. He's a great guy, and we have a lot of fun together. We also have my good friend and bandmate, Randy Montoya, Patricia Butchek, Donna Kidby, Alicia Jarvis, Mary Jeschke, Elisa Rivera Boyles, one of my oldest friends, Ian Stoker. Congratulations on the new addition to the household, buddy. Hope to see you soon. We've got Robin Welch, my awesome friend Joanna Johnston, and Matt Tuck. You guys, I hope you're being safe out there on the road. Thank you guys so much for supporting and for listening to the podcast. It's so great. We've got our good friend Susan Gervich from Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia. She's been supporting us since the very beginning, and we sincerely appreciate that. Thank you, Susan. We've got, where are we at? Ira Green, Gregory S. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Prakruka, MD, Ted Dahlberg, James Laughlin, Stan Brooks, the lovely Shauna Pedroncelli, a good friend of ours, Mike Benjamin, my buddy and fellow avid board gamer, Nick Rudig. How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well out there. Jeff Fitzgerald and Misa McKeown. And I think that's about it for our patrons. Hopefully I didn't miss any of you. If I did, send an angry email. And also I want to thank everyone that has helped us make this podcast. It takes a number of people to get a podcast out that's of decent quality, and it's really important for me to thank everyone that's involved with that. For first and foremost, my wife Ashley. She has been huge in supporting us, and also as far as background help goes, she's been doing some of the most important work, like keeping kids from barging into the studio while Ben and I are recording, and just taking care of a lot of the little stuff. I'm not the best at remembering everything, and she's really good at it. So she really helps me stay on task with everything we're doing. Also, of course, Celestia Ward, who I'm sure you are all familiar with by now. She's sometimes co-host, always content producer. She really steers this ship for us. She does a good amount of the day-to-day kind of work, and really helps us craft the content and pick the episodes and keep us from putting our feet in our mouths too often. So she's been one of the most pivotal figures in getting this podcast going. I'd also like to thank Andrew Torres from Opening Arguments. He is a friend of the show, and I've been listening to his podcast for longer than this podcast has existed. And he also helped us kind of navigate the legal waters in getting into doing this podcast. So thank you so much, Andrew. You've been a great help. And I'd also like to thank my buddy Alex Monasterio. He's jumped in and done some real Hail Mary editing for us in terms of getting episodes out at the very last minute. It's been amazing having him as a resource. So thanks, Alex. Also, my good friend and business partner, Augustine Ortiz over at Decibel Foundry. He has been one of the most important people in my professional life in terms of getting my company Kronos Creative established and doing a lot of what I've done. And a lot of his guidance as an audio engineer and producer has helped me kind of really hone in on our sound and on getting the podcast to sound as professional as possible. I feel like I've got a ways to go, but Augustine has really, really helped us get there. And also, of course, Ben Radford, the resident expert and the guy that the podcast could not exist without. I don't know what I would talk about without him. And of course, being that he's the expert, we pretty much can't do anything without Ben here. So thanks, Ben. Other than that, we have some upcoming Halloween episodes. There's going to be a couple where we don't want to be too, we don't want to give anything away. I think you guys will really enjoy what we've got in store for you. We also want to thank the New Mexico Podscape. Those guys had us at the Podscape Fest actually 2 weeks ago now, and they really have helped. They've supported the show. They've done a lot to kind of help us out locally. And there is a network of podcasts, of great podcasts in the Podscape network there that are all local, and you should definitely check them out. I drop all their names at the beginning of episode 25. And if you'd like to check out New Mexico Podscape, they're at facebook.com/NM Podscape. And definitely check them out. They're really great people. Also, I just want to reiterate the Skepticrate. That's been a huge hit for us. We've actually gotten, I think, the most of the largest number of our patrons are in the $10 per episode range, because or $5 to $10 episode range, because at $5 an episode, we send a Skepticrate out every month. I'm sure if you've listened to the show at all, you have an idea what it is. We've been sending out little bags of goodies basically every month, kind of like a crate subscription service, except we use padded envelopes for cost reasons. But it's been a lot of fun. We all spend a good amount of time every month kind of picking that stuff out and really honing in on what we're going to give people. This isn't just some like willy-nilly grab bag thing. Everything is very intentionally put in that crate, and there's a lot of neat stuff. And we've got a lot of neat stuff coming in the coming months. And then other than that, I think that's about it. We are, like I said, we're at our 6th month now, which is pretty remarkable in my opinion. I think we've done a lot in that amount of time. Putting out a weekly podcast is no small feat. I don't know if any of you have experience, you may know that it takes a lot of work to get just one episode of a podcast out every week, especially when you do a lot of other things besides podcasting with your time. I'd love to do podcasting full time, but that's not a reality at this point. But fingers crossed, Patreon. Yeah, so we're looking at just keeping the train on the tracks and staying the course, and hopefully we'll just continue growing. We'll continue getting more listeners and more patrons, and being able to provide you with a little more of this kind of added content would be a great thing. And I think that's the key, is just, getting that support. So thank you guys so much for being involved with our podcast and interacting with us and listening. Thank you for all your downloads, and thank you for all your support. I also want to give a big shout out to all our international listeners. We have a pretty surprising amount of listeners out in all over Europe and Australia, we've got a big one because the Skeptic Zone with Richard Saunders, he's given us a lot of lip service. That's another person I really want to thank before I close out. Richard, you are the man. You've done a lot to grow our audience, and we sure hope that you continue doing what you're doing forever. But we'll be here to hold that torch as long as we can too. So. Thank you guys, all our international listeners. I know sometimes we get a little America-centric with some of our episodes. We try to make sure it's still interesting and engaging. I know we kind of try to stay away from politics as much as possible because I'm sure all of us are tired of American politics at this point. But everything is looking really good. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up, and we're really excited to bring that to you. So thank you guys so much.